Mexican indigenous people gave me
Me regalaron
this beautiful
este
object that will be for
hermoso
me.
objeto que será para mí
A
un
pleasure to
placer
carry things on this occasion.
llevar en esta ocasión. Las
Communities have
comunidades
preserved their
han
dignity and culture
preservado su
throughout
dignidad y su
generations.
cultura a lo largo de las generaciones.
Our
Nuestra
responsibility is to
responsabilidad
listen to
es
them,
escucharlas,
accommodation. Add them
acompañarlas
with
con
humility and
humildad y
support them.
apoyarlas.
Reinforcing gender
Reforzar
equality
la
is one
igualdad
of the
de
values
género es
that
uno de los valores que
it
comparten
leaves
la
for
Unión
New in
Europea y
Europea and
México, y hoy
Mexico, and today we are
estamos
signing
firmando
a
una
joint
declaración
declaration on
conjunta sobre
trade and
comercio
gender
e igualdad de
equality so
género
that
para que este
the
acuerdo
modernized agreement
modernizado
benefits women
beneficie a
and men
mujeres y hombres
equally.
por
We
igual.
also launched
También lanzamos
and new
nuevos
projects with
proyectos
financing
con
of
una
4 million
financiación
euros,
de
which is
4
equivalent
millones de
to
euros que
about
equivalen a unos
80
80
million
millones de
pesos to
pesos
combat violence against
para
girls and
combatir la
women
violencia contra niñas y
in
mujeres
that
en México
Mexico and give them the
y
support they
darles el apoyo que
deserve.
merecen.
This
Este
agreement goes
acuerdo
to the one
global
we
que
just
acabamos
signed,
de
it
firmar
home,
se inició
in
en
1997 and is one of the most ambitious.
1997 y es uno de los más ambiciosos
That the
que
European
la
Union
Unión
is now
Europea
more
haya jamás
complete.
concluido. Es un
A truly
acuerdo
global
verdaderamente
agreement from the
global desde el
beginning because it
principio
also
porque
covers
también
political
cubre el
dialogue,
diálogo político,
co-cooperation,
cooperación,
investments,
inversiones
and
y
naturally commerce.
naturalmente comercio.
Today we raise this
Hoy
broad platform.
elevamos esta amplia plataforma de
Level and I
nivel
want to
y
thank
quiero dar
Commissioner
las
Marius
gracias al comisario
Shefčovič and
Mariusz
Don Mars.
Šefčovič y a don
The
Marcelo,
March of
Marcelo
Brass for his
Ebrard
work and for the
por
wisdom
su
here.
trabajo y por la sabia guía
Who has walked
que
has
han
said work we
dado
have this
a
fantastic,
dicho trabajo. Tenemos ahora este fantástico
which
acuerdo
reinforces the old global agreement.
que refuerza el antiguo acuerdo global del
After
que
we had
disponíamos,
respecting our common values, our
respetando
triors,
nuestros valores comunes, nuestras prioridades
common
comunes
cities,
y
and our
nuestra
vision of the
visión del mundo.
world, our
Nuestro
agreement
acuerdo
modernized deepen
modernizado
our
profundiza nuestra
cooperation on human
cooperación
rights,
en
reaffirms our
derechos
commitment.
humanos, reafirma nuestro compromiso
Commitment to
con el
multilateralism,
multilateralismo,
peace, and
con la
global
paz y con
stability.
la estabilidad mundial
And our
y
dedicated one
también
also stands out,
destaca nuestra
of dedication
dedicación
to equal
a
justice and
la igualdad,
empowerment.
la justicia y al empoderamiento
Of the people,
de
it
las
also
personas.
respects the Paris Agreement for
También
protection
respeta el Acuerdo de París para la
of
protección
our
de
planet,
nuestro
so this
planeta.
agreement.
Así que este acuerdo refleja
That's who we are
quiénes
as
somos
partners. We are
como
ambitious.
socios. Somos ambiciosos,
Good,
somos
reliable,
fiables,
we look to the
miramos al
future and
futuro
are
y
committed to
estamos
deliver.
comprometidos a cumplir
Of our
nuestros
people, which brings
acuerdos,
me to our commercial
lo cual
commitments.
me lleva a nuestros compromisos comerciales.
The objective
El
here is
objetivo
very
aquí es muy
simple. We want to
sencillo.
create more
Queremos
jobs
crear más empleos
and more
y más
value on both
valor a
sides of
ambos
the
lados del
Atlantic with a
Atlántico.
quick response.
Con una rápida
Ratification
ratificación,
tariffs on practically
los
everything.
aranceles sobre prácticamente todas las
Mexico's
exportaciones
agricultural
agrícolas de
exports
México a
to
la
the
Unión
European
Europea
Union will
desaparecerán.
disappear.
Imagínense
Of
las
the opportunities
oportunidades
this
que esto
offers,
ofrece.
European
Las
companies
empresas
attracted.
europeas atraídas por el
The talent
talento y
and
el
dynamism of
dinamismo de
Mexico.
México,
They are already giving, they have created
pues ya
5
están
million
dando,
jobs here.
han creado 5 millones de empleos aquí y
And there is
mucho
much
más
more to come, the products.
que vendrá. Los productores
Mexicanos will
mexicanos se
benefit
beneficiarán
greatly
mucho porque
because
este
they agree
acuerdo
to promote
fomenta las
sustainable
prácticas
practices
sostenibles
and will also protect the.
y también protegerá las
Give me geographical names of shit.
denominaciones geográficas del cacao
In the evenings that they are
y
not
tequila.
texted, that they have come to be texted. This new
Este
agreement would
nuevo
bring the
acuerdo
region
cubre
together
esto,
I
el
did not even
acuerdo original
imagine.
ni siquiera imaginaba.
Digital
Comercio digital,
commerce, public
contratación
procurements.
pública.
Europe will be much
Europa
easier to
será mucho más
invest,
fácil invertir
to
para
provide
prestar
services, and
servicios
to compete
y
for
para
contracts.
establecer y para competir en contratos
Public in
públicos en
Mexico,
México.
I also have a
También tengo
message
un
for
mensaje para
European
los
Mexican
agricultores
farmers.
mexicanos.
The European Union
La
is a
Unión
large
Europea es
market
un
for
gran
agri-food products,
mercado de productos agroalimentarios
and this
y
agreement opens
este
opportunities for
acuerdo
them
les
by
abre
removing it.
oportunidades. Al eliminar los
That is tariffs
aranceles,
this can save.
esto puede ahorrar
Up to
hasta
100
100
million
millones de
euros a
euros al
year to
año a los
exporters, and
exportadores.
also,
Y también
they
me
commented on
comentaron
me
la
in the
reunión
meeting with the
con los
businessmen.
empresarios
Quality protection standards in food processing are now fully protected. This agreement also has a 568 denomination. European Reographics Gouda made pursuit of Parmians. Mahi through the spec whatever you want, dear Claudia, this agreement. It gives us great wings to fly very high. And we have our own investment plan. It is an agenda that matches exactly. Stay with your Mexico plan. This plan of ours is the Global G. And you, and for immersion, Global Gateway is the European investment strategy that will mobilize 5,000 million euros, more than 100 billion pesos in Mexico, for new electricity generation projects in Ulrica and its. Talk about clean mobility projects with new funiculars for the Mexico City too. We are going to invest in strategic sectors. I affirm that you use digital networks, the circular economy. In our project insignia, this global agenda is dynamic. It is designed to let it evolve. Today we are launching I am not going to what I know in energy, health and the digital field lastly, which is mentioned. Our new high-level dialogue on security and migration. Clothing and in Latin America, these are urgent and complicated issues. This dialogue will allow us to address them in a broad way, strengthening the cooperation of forces, published to attack the root causes, which would end in December. That the relationship between the European Union and Mexico has always been very lively, and he is rooted in me, not only in his interests as in the, but also in a shared culture. Thousands of citizens who try not to be European found refuge in this country during the wars that devastated our continent last century. I'm thinking about the inheritance that leave artists like Rivera and Frida Kahlo said. Did you draw inspiration from your experiences in Europe? His spirit accompanies us in many ways during this visit. There is, naturally, we share a passion. Football that cannot be denied, soccer fans. Europeans are waiting with great interest for this Football World Cup, of which you. They will be with Fitrians, so I hope you appreciate it. I hope this partnership of ours reaches new people. Hi, thank you so much. Next, the President of the European Council, His Excellency Mr. Antonio, speaks. Now we give the floor to the President of the European Council, Svexland, Simister and Don Yaco. Mr. President, Dr. Claudio Chenbampardo. Thank you for your warm welcomes. This Oscaba summit between the European Union in the United States of Mexico, a historic moment that makes possible thanks to your leadership with your political vision. President Chanba has launched our relations. After more than a decade without maximum encounters. But levels, hello, let's talk a little more. Of good news, in it we celebrate the strength of our, its strategic vision and its enormous potential. The European Union and Mexico are natural allies. We are reliable partners and friends committed to a series of common values and to start in democracy in defense of human rights. The current context of Geopolitical Figuao makes our association more important than in A. Inca, and we don't start from scratch on the terrain of deep historical and cultural human ties that unites our people over the last 20 years. We have built a strong partnership between the European Union, EA Mexico, and today with the signature of Mutarenzo, of the comprehensive agreement and the interim hybrid trade agreement. Between the Invegico-European Perez Union, our relationship will reach a new level of greater maturity and ambition. On behalf of the 27 member states of the European Union, I would like to congratulate my friends Marcelo Eberhard in Mero Safegevisai for his excellent work. This agreement and will eliminate tariffs, boost trade and and create prosperous and with the horizons of logic. Atlantic, diversifying our economies, reducing excessive dependencies and reinforcing indefinitely in our resilience, but here we are not just talking about commerce. This agreement is a true geopolitical declaration. It is a demonstration of our commitment to the righteous convert, shared prosperity, sustainability, and the cup. Action based on rules with our global agreement. Finished, we are better prepared to face together challenges of our time, and we are going to allow ourselves to go deeper. This is not something political, cooperation in key areas. For our citizens, what are security like? During the environment, the green and digital transition, innovation, and full of humane seriousness, how does the President von der Leyen explained the European Union will support the Mexico plan of your government with our global gay investment programs, generating benefits, concretes for the Mexican people, and demonstrating that the European Union is a reliable partner with Mexico, and to be able to build a stronger, more diversified and more signable. Today we also talked about how avanzar in areas that are important, such as security and fighting against organized crime, a fight in which the knot in the knot. The European Union supports the great efforts of the Mexican government in what his government is achieving and what should be done, provided that expecting the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the states within the framework of the rule of law, this to measure based on judicial and police cooperation. Presidenta White Tax. The European Union also shares its strong a commitment to climate action and have a presence who not only believes in science but who is also the divine nation is a double vantage. We are too, like you, defenders of human rights and gender equality. We believe we will jointly promote them in the European Union and Mexico and Mazalia also through work together in multilateral forums such as the United Nations. Today we have also reaffirmed the importance of preserving a internal world order based on international law and its multilateralism, because we truly believe in the need to count on United Nations strong and effective, and we defend likewise principles such as the primera of territorial integrity, of sovereignty. Together we can promote reform to better defend the United Nations, to never leave that are replaced by the vacuum of international chaos. We have also addressed the evolution of the regional situation. In the global includes the situation in the Middle East and the war of Russian aggression against Ukraine. The European they protest demanding respect for international law in all places, and alike we value the role of me balance with the socio-constructive in these expressions. Definitely. Go friends, hi, we're out of here, huh? with the satisfaction of the duty fulfilled. This summit is agreed with important sounds now. We must be on top of these commitments in specific nations and take advantage of all the potential that this one opens up to us. The time to act has arrived, Chairwoman. Reinbon, thank you very much for everything. We hope to be able to. Where are you Greens? Demvrot ma Demvrot lath. Capital very soon to appreciate them. Thank you so much. And dear public, let us listen to the message of the Constitutional President of the United Mexican States, Dr. Claudia Sheinbaum Strike. Audience, let us now listen to the Constitutional President of the United Mexican States, Aria Shamban Pardo. And sit down from the European Commission, Ursula, thank you very much for your words, for the overflow that leads to its position and for this great in a meeting that has characterized the relationship with the Union of the Union. Likewise, Antonio Costa, President of the European Council, for his words yesterday in the Senate and herein. National Palace and always looking for the best relationship. Mexico with the European Union and with all the countries of the world. I greet with respect and affection the acid representative of the European Union, who are here today, to the businessmen and businessmen, to the nursing homes and Lamadicos and the media that accompany us. Mexico welcomes the European Union with the conviction that we are living in a historic moment, time, and with our relationship, a time in which our nations choose cooperation and it becomes shared. Hijiko has decided to look at the entire world with dignity, with strength, with confidence that we are a nation who knows who we are and where we are going, ours. There is not only a dynamic and solid economy. Mexico is an ancient civilization. It is the greatness of its people, the strength of the diversity of our culture, the creativity of our the estrangement and hope of millions of women and men that days they build development and well-being with their work. Mexico is experiencing a profound transformation carried out on clear principles: shared hope, freedom, social justice, democracy, sovereignty, and international cooperation. Because we believe that economic development makes sense when it is sustainable and translates into well-being for the people, the Union. The European has shown the world that development cooperation is viable. European nations built a common project based on economic integration, political dialogue, and the search for goods. This is an example for the world, the strengthening of the global word, the three agreements that we signed today between Mexico. The European Union represents more than instruments of Irma, what commercial instruments represent the possibility of consolidating. Provide a strategic relationship based on mutual respect, equality, of training and confidence in a common future. It opens enormous support for both regions. It will allow the internal expansion, the commercial change with complementary and age, strengthen our production chains and generate new investments, find decent, well-paid jobs, the background that in Europe is having and today announces to strengthen. The Mexico Plan is a great example of development cooperation between regions and nations, and we thank them. Hijiko is a fundamental strategic partner for Europe in key sectors, such as clean energy, electromobility, pharmaceutical industry. It is used for sustainable industrial growth, mobility, and not a scientific situation, artificial intelligence, and various areas of development. And technological, our nation has extraordinary advantages. A privileged geographical location, expanding infrastructure. Macroeconomic stability, a young workforce, and trained and growing industrial capacity, but above all, Mexico has a creative and hardworking, committed people. With shared prosperity, we agree that eating, it does not have the vision of benefiting only some. We see it reaching communities, cooperatives everywhere. Alas, in the rural producers, alas, in the young entrepreneurs, alas. Companies and those who had historically been excluded from development. Likewise, this understanding strengthens cooperation in, not after areas of educational and scientific cooperation, cultural and environmental areas, it will open new possibilities. For Mexican students, researchers, universities, and technology centers, the relationship between Mexico and the Union. In Europe, it can be an example of a form of strengthening, economic with respect to our sovereignties and integration, with a human face, with environmental responsibility and commitment. Social, we live in complex times internationally. But it is precisely in these moments when we must act. Put more cooperation, more dialogue, and more humanistic vision. The prosperity of the future must be shared, or it will not be. Bratera, Mexico is ready to continue consolidating itself as a bridge between regions, cultures, and economies, an open country. To the world proud of its roots and sure of its destiny. We are a free, democratic, and deeply human nation. And today, we reform before the world and before the European Union. Pia, our will to build together a new stage. Strengthened, cooperative, much broader. Deeper and fairer for our societies. Thank you so much. Thank you. We will give way to questions from media representatives to begin. We see Archero and Salatori from the agency to FEP. Taking questions from the video representative, let's begin with Mr. Archero Ilisa. Of FAP, you have the floor, sir. Where are you? Good morning. Well, very question, it is related. It is about the relationship between this agreement and the tariffs imposed by the state. United States that will be to know if with this agreement, in this company, Europeans will invest more in Mexico to take advantage of the fact that this at tariff rates lower than those paid by the European Union, and in the case, individual from Mexico, President Chef Moxiera, know if this agreement has of any involvement in the negotiations with the United States to review the demic. I answer first, how do you know? We are working, negotiating, talking, chatting, dialoguing in the review of the trade agreement with the United States. In fact, next week we have the presence of the representation of the United States in Mexico to strengthen, begin formal talks related to the review of the treaty. We have had a treaty with Europe since 2000. So they are not contradictory, on the contrary, they strengthen Mexico and Fordales in Europe and Fordales in the United States. The portal of what we are signing today, the update, the modernization of the treaty and the global agreement, since they have to do with a vision of shared prosperity, of joint work and development. IISET and Mexico as well as has a relationship with. In the United States, we have a relationship with the European Union and we want to strengthen the relationships. If we have been there for a long time, we compromised.
Si llevamos mucho tiempo comprometidos
In this,
en
if you
esto,
look at the
sí.
figures, there are more than
Miremos ustedes
11,000
las cifras,
companies.
hay más de 11.000 empresas
Those
europeas
European
que están
companies that are
operando en
operating in
México,
Mexico, creating,
creando
or more
más
than
de
5
5
million
millones de
direct or
empleos
indirect
directos o
jobs, Europe is
indirectos.
security.
Europa es
It is the
el
second
segundo
destination
destino
for Mexican
para
exports.
las exportaciones mexicanas.
So this
Así
modernized
que
global
este
agreement, we
acuerdo global
believe,
modernizado creemos que
will increase
aumentará
these cifras even
estas
more. I
cifras
can't
aún
believe,
más.
Claudia.
No puedo, querida Claudia,
If you
sino
don't underline
subrayar
what
lo
it
que
says,
dice.
these measures are my opinion.
Estas medidas, en mi opinión,
They are
son
complementary.
complementarias.
They will help
Ayudarán a
both
ambas
parties to
partes a
diversify and
diversificar y a
improve their
mejorar
supply
sus cadenas
chains.
de
Supply,
suministro.
we continue with the next question, Jose Manuel Fuentes from However. Next question, Mr. Jose Manuel Fuentes, say on embargo. Ask how to get the last ones. Sometimes the world abruptly moved beyond multilateralism. Now to a topic of distrust, in what way this agreement and this new relationship will be able to promote multiplicity and parity in favor of societies that are fairer and healthier, and responsible people who seek from the common ministry. This is his showcase. A vision of Operation for development, that has always been our vision. There are moments in two that there are no agreements with other nations, but that does not mean that we will show you. Giving by the principles established by our Constitution. These are first and foremost, and which we also defend with conviction. Is that every nation, every country has, or to value in the entire world, and that what should always guide us is the construction of peace and a vision of development. We believe that in this multipolar world, it is more important than ever to reinforce the rule. It is an international order based on reglas and also reinforce multilateral indications because it's like together we can respond to global challenges. Climate change only together on the basis of law. We can avoid chaos, that's why. Do you agree today? Are you at the summit today? The commitment we have. The future is a very potent, real political message. Do you mean to say that we live in two different shores of the same ocean, but we share the values and above all, the willingness to work together? We must base our action on cooperation for drainage and defend together an interactional order based on reglas and the multitude. That is the policy of the European Union in life alone. Please, here on the continent, we open at the end of the in the past, the summit with CELAC. The European Commission has affirmed historical natuido with a Mercosur, stated last year with Chile. I also don't agree with it, so this is our day. Way of being in the world, finding a partner. Loyal, predictable altogether. Provide stability, predictability with surety that are the basis for relief, prosperity, and also give away peace in the world. Or Sanchez from the FNZIF. And so, good afternoon. Thank you very much for the space. I would like to ask you about the times, what are the next steps at the legislative level? Would these be the first moments that we would see both commercial and economic impacts? And you can know the amount of this investment fund that is driving the company in Europe, in Mexico, and when we could begin to see this dynamism. Very infected. Sorry, the new video is part of your question.
Perdone, solo he oído parte de su pregunta.
According to the part where I asked about the size of the investment well, we have the Global Gateway, which is our infrastructure investment program. Outside the European Union and in Mexico, we are thinking of pouring 5,000 million euros that were worth 10,000 million here. The global agreement opens up great support. Universities for investment.
Para la inversión.
And also attracts the private sector.
También atrae al sector privado.
Gateway is characterized by creating a conduit by.
Global Gateway
Intends to create an environment that attracts to foreign capital together with father Iñárritu's associate. These 100 billion pesos is a minimum investment, but it will have a enormous leverage effect. The agreements that are signed do not and allow. That moves forward immediately or strengthening business relationships. And the investments of both Mexican companies in Europe and companies. Those from Europe, from European countries, from the European Union like in Mexico. Now there is a part that necessarily has to go through the Senate, and that will take. Well, I think it won't be long because I really don't think anyone is against this agreement that we are signing today. Asks Luis Acantu from Canelons.
Last question, please. Luisa Cantu of Channel 11.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President. There to all the people present. Insist a little on the geopolitical issue. They mention that this is not only a taken into account, but also that they will not be forgiven for a rules update. Just a bridge, some conflicts and the need to reinforce were even mentioned. To give historic institutions like the United Nations, ask them in that sense what it means, how socially and politically this agreement is, and if there are steps to follow. Thank you. First, on the commercial issue, it is very important. Say that they worked very carefully to make the agreements complementary in our economies, that is, it does not substitute. If not the other way around, it complements both economies and that strengthens. The vision says a lot. The second thing is that it is not this vision. That raw materials leave Mexico to be processed elsewhere. If you don't have a vision of increasing added value in Mexico, that's granted. Has the Mexico plan, all investments have to do with in Mexico and at the same time facilitating business investment. Mexicans in Europe, there are many that have a strong presence in the European Union. So it is a very important vision to advance in reduction. Tariffs in some cases eliminate them, but with a vision of complementarity, not replacement, and this was very worked on by the European Union and by our team in Mexico, by the Ministry of Economy. I know your world in global matters of a political vision. Well, it is a vision. A peace-building policy, I would say it in those terms. It shows vision is that peace-building has to do with. In respect for human rights, it has to do with the sovereignty of the people. It has to do with respect between nations and with a life. An multilateral, this is a vision that Europe shares and Mexico shares. And that is what we are putting forward, and it is an example to the world. In general, that we can reach an agreement between regions, between nations, for the construction of a pasture of the valley. This means that the President has spoken for all of us. Bravo. Thank you, thank you. This concludes this press conference. In you, the Constitutional President of the United Mexican States, Dr. Claudia Sheinbaum, the President of the European Council, His Excellency, who was on the coast, and the President. The European Commission, excellent, and without further ado, Madam, course the von der Lala. That's why you have a great afternoon.
Thus we conclude this press conference, bidding you farewell.
The Constitutional President of the United Mexican States, Dr. Claudia.
Dr. Claudia.
Do they call Browns?